to check on that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were talking May 6th, 8:45?
Yeah.
That works for me.
All right.
Do I need to sign anything?
No.
Or just out of here? My comment about my client?
Yeah.
I just met her. She's really nice. She's really smart. She sounds like she's got the right idea about things. I really support what she's up to, and I think it's fabulous. How about that?
God, she's accused of, what is it, criminal trespass.
In the first degree, yes.
Is she innocent or guilty?
She's innocent, of course.
She's innocent, okay. Well, she's caught on video being arrested and protesting and allegedly protesting. So I'm trying to get all sides. So
My client has pled not guilty. My name is Stephanie Mueller. I'm in the directory for the Washington State Bar Association. You could look me up.
Okay, so Stephanie, thank you for your time. At this point, your client is being arraigned, though.
It's all just happened. Her hearing is over.
Got it.
It's done.
All right, do you know when her next court date is?
I do.
I'd like to maybe just keep tabs if there
I think that's a great idea.
Could you tell me when that is?
No.
Oh,
Take
okay.
care.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Now, can I say something obvious? That's not actually a woman. That's a man. But here's something that I think is also obvious. That's not a man even dressed up as a woman. That's not Tootsie or Mrs. Doubtfire. That's someone dressing up as a bizarre caricature of a woman, an objectified, sexualized mockery of what a woman is. No woman looks like that or would present like that, even if they did have the underlying geometry like that. It's like that teacher that David Menzies has reported on, named Busty Lemieux, that's the nickname, with the extreme prosthetic breasts. That's not a woman. That's not someone trying to look like a woman. That's not psychologically normal to do that. That's an extreme deranged fetish of a man pretending to be a woman. That is a mental illness. I don't care what a vote in Arlington, Virginia 12 years ago said. It's absurd. It's a dare. It's a challenge to all norms. It would be like if a female to male transgender person dressed up with a crazy 2-foot-long fake penis under their pants or something and just trotted around a courthouse or a school and demanded that you call her a man and that you pretend that's what men look like or what men do. Tootsie and Mrs. Doubtfire didn't force you to call them women. They tried to be so much like women that you couldn't tell the difference, that you actually thought they were women and treated them as such. But this Stephanie Mueller and Busty Lemieux aren't trying to convince you. They're doing the opposite, actually. They're trying to force you against your will and against your judgment and against your instincts to say, yes, ma'am, you really are a woman. I accept that. I'll call you by your pronouns, she, her, and I'll pretend this is all really normal. I'll participate in your sexual fantasy by affirming it. And then that's not enough, of course. They demand access to women's only places like bathrooms and swimming pool changing rooms. We see a lot of that. Even men getting into women's prisons by saying they're trans, even sex criminals saying they're women so they can get put into prison with women. This is a million miles away from the obscure gay dance club scene of 30 years ago that Madonna emulated in her music video, Vogue. Just 12 years ago, a vote by some political doctors at some meeting in Virginia suddenly waved a magic wand and all of this became normalized. And now Justin Trudeau has ordered our army bases to put tampon dispensers in men's bathrooms at Canadian Forces bases. And God forbid you say anything about any of this, you'll be prosecuted by a Human Rights Commission. So what's next? I mean, really, I've told you nothing new in the last 5 minutes. But what's next? Because something's next. Well, here's what's next. It's a story in the National Post. The headline is, Quebec man has 2 healthy fingers amputated to relieve body integrity dysphoria. It's not the first time amputation has been used as a treatment for the rare condition. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be rare for very long, do you? Do you see, though, they called that a treatment? They said cutting off perfectly healthy fingers is a treatment. Well, why wouldn't it be? Cutting off, I'm so gross, I don't even like to say cutting off the breasts of women to to transition to become trans men, or cutting off a man's penis to transition and be a trans woman. That's insane also. And now it's called a treatment. A gender-affirming medical care is what they call it. This guy just had his 2 fingers cut off as a affirming care, as a treatment. I read the whole article. I don't want to read that much of it to you. I will gag if I do. I'm sorry, I don't have the stomach for this. The story talks about a man who had this mental illness, and the story reports, quote, a surgeon at his local hospital agreed to an elective amputation. Those are 2 words that should never go together. An elective amputation in what is being called the first described case of digits amputation for body integrity dysphoria, or BID, a rare and complex condition characterized by an intense desire to amputate a perfectly healthy body part, such as an arm or leg. You know that medical proverb, the motto of the profession is do no harm, right? Do no harm. But once you have agreed to cut off body parts for sexual dysphoria, why wouldn't you cut off fingers? Is body integrity dysphoria still a mental illness, or did an obscure committee of the American Psychiatric Association have a vote one weekend and vote to make it a lifestyle or an identity protected by the Human Rights Commission, no doubt? And maybe your schools will start showing your kids books about choosing their bodies and not feeling like they're in the right bodies because they're not meant to have 10 fingers. Are your fingers bothering you? Well, we can do something about that. Just don't tell your parents. I know that sounds nuts, but isn't that what we're doing right now about gender dysphoria?